Hey, my name is Joe,
And I'm Mary Beth.
and this is the best of Gen X.
We are in our 40s.
And we're siblings,
We'll talk about adulting in a world so different from the one we grew up in,
so excuse us while we save a generation.
one episode at a time.
Let's go.
Hey, Joe.
Hey, Mary Beth.
How are you?
I'm doing swell. How are you?
I'm here.
You're here. What's the matter with you?
No, I've had quite a week.
Okay,
Quite a week. But you have quite a weekend
I do.
planned.
You want me to get into that?
Yeah.
I'm pretty excited. So I've got two high school buddies, Little League / high school buddies, who you know. We are going to St. Louis to watch the St. Louis Cardinals and Los Angeles Dodgers. And we are meeting one of your friends from college that you introduced me to.
Yes.
And he and his son are going to meet us there. And he's a Dodgers fan. So one of our buddies is a Cardinals fan, one of our buddies is a Dodgers fan, and two of us are Cubs fans. And so we're just going to just have the best time you can possibly
Mayhem
imagine.
will ensue.
Shenanigans. Shenanigans will commence.
Yeah, that friend you mentioned that you basically got custody of him.
I did.
I mean, I was like, he and I got along so well. And I would tell him, you've got to meet my brother. And I'd tell you, you've got to meet Jordan. And once you did, it was kismet.
Yeah. We've been on a group text since 2010
Yeah.
or 11.
Love that guy.
Yep. Yeah, I stole him from you.
Yes, you did.
Gracias.
You're welcome.
He's the salt of the earth, that guy.
Isn't he?
Yeah. And this is the first time we get to meet his son, who we've seen on social media for
Right.
years.
Oh, he's so cute.
Yeah, so I said, man, I hope you understand I'm going to mess with your son the entire weekend.
Well, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
You'll have to tell him I said
the
hello.
road trip alone will be fun.
Yeah.
So he's flying in and we're meeting him there. So it'll be
So
fun.
what started this idea for you?
Well, Jordan obviously is a big Dodgers fan, and he was trying to figure out a game for he and his son to go see. He lives in Jersey, and I just think that was probably made the most sense to him from a locale perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And he reached out to us about 4 months ago or whatever it was. He was like, "Hey," because he knows our buddy Brian's a Cardinals fan. He said, "Why don't we all meet up? Go to this." So we're all like, it took us a couple of days. We were like, "All right," and we just got it all planned out, got the hotels booked.
It's kind of funny because our last episode we talked about birthday trips and
Friend group doing stuff.
friend
randomly,
groups
yeah.
going out, traveling together. And I said, you have the perfect friend group to do just that. And so that's what you're doing.
That's what we're doing.
Awesome.
We're leaving tomorrow morning, going to stay till Sunday.
Well, I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
My week, brother, I don't even know.
Man, just let it out. I'll charge you at a cheap rate. Just let
Okay.
it out.
It all started when I was 3. No. So my daughter had surgery on Tuesday, and it's a surgery she's had before. But the healing, the recovery, we didn't get the results that, we were supposed to get. And so, doing it a second time. And so I've been like, Tuesday was a long day. You get there before the sun rises and then you're there for hours and everything went well. It was just a long day. And then she has, tubes that I have to drain, which isn't the most fun. And we're kind of a slave to the clock, every few hours. And then we're calling the doctor every morning to give them the totals, and they just haven't been low enough yet to take out. So I'm having to give her a bath and really take care of her, which is fine. I mean, she's 19, but she's still my baby, but it's just been, it's an exhausting thing because I'm working at the same time. And then our poor dog, Miss Ruby Sue, named after Ruby Sue in Christmas Vacation, she decides that this is the week she's going to get a bladder infection. So we noticed over the last couple days that she was just acting weird and just scratching a lot. And so today I called the vet and was like, I am so pressed for time. This is going on, but I know something's wrong with her. So took her in today, this afternoon. They got her in real quick. and determined it was a bladder infection. Gave her a shot of antibiotics. He said, just going to give her a shot of antibiotics that'll be good for 2 weeks. He goes, you sound like you have your hands full and you don't need to mess with giving your dog pills. And I was like, bless you,
Oh
my vet.
Yeah, I'm stressed listening to this story.
I know. And then the company that built my home, we're closing in on our 3rd year of this house. And the builders have been giving me the runaround on first year issues that they're supposed to fix. And I met my anger threshold yesterday when the superintendent texted me and basically tried to blame their piss poor communication and piss poor follow through on my lack of reaching out. And I have 2 years of text and emails to prove him otherwise. And I was just like, you're not going to blame this on me.
Yeah, that's weak.
So to have to wait as long as I have to get these things taken care of and then to be blamed for part of the problem, it's just like, you know what? You can go to hell.
Yeah.
And I've just been so mentally and physically exhausted, and you should have seen me today driving the truck, which I'm a terrible driver anyway, and driving Josh's truck, I'm just like that little old lady in Ferris Bueller at the end where she's trying to see over the dashboard. And I've got Ruby in my lap and she's a nervous wreck and I'm trying to make turns and it's one of those weeks in my life that I have every now and then that makes me feel like my life is a sitcom. Like the only thing missing is a camera crew following me and witnessing all the craziness, all the chaos that happens. And it all, things like that all happen at the same time. And it's just, blah. And so I feel like such a flake, like the perfect centerpiece for a ridiculous, funny sitcom. Like sometimes life feels that way. I've been saying that for years.
A sitcom, huh?
Yes.
Well, Mary Beth, as it turns out, as a Gen Xer, you and I, it's our right, nay, our duty to declare our era the best era in pop culture, which we've said before.
Go on.
It may be 2024, but we're still listening to the best 80s and 90s songs. We're watching the best 80s and 90s romantic comedies, and we're rediscovering the best 80s and 90s TV shows.
Speak on it.
Sure, most shows that premiered even in the 90s have been canceled. Keep hanging in there, Law & Order, SVU. But that doesn't mean the classic sitcoms of the 80s and 90s aren't still relevant. Just think about how often you find yourself humming the Cheers theme song or quoting Friends. That's influence, baby.
It is.
And that's what the best 80s and 90s TV shows still have today. One reason that 80s and 90s television is so prevalent is that it was the last time everyone was watching the same shows.
Right.
There's no person with a television who didn't at least once catch a rerun of Full House or Family Matters. No Gen Xer kid who wouldn't recognize the phrase, "What you talking about, Willis?" And now that there's so many shows on Netflix and Prime Video and on, it can be difficult to sort of find something everyone you know is watching, let alone talking about.
Right.
So stop what you're doing, because I'm about to ruin. Wait, no. We're not going to start singing old rap tunes, Mary Beth.
Hey, that'll wait. You guys will have to wait for that.
We're going to put some plutonium in the DeLorean. We're going to get that baby going 88 miles an hour. And we're going to go back in time to a world where sitcoms made sense.
Yes.
When they made us feel sweet and pure. And when they made us feel like absolutely nothing in the world mattered.
Yeah.
Yes, we are going to relive the glory days of 80s and 90s sitcoms.
Well said, man. Well said. I love that you mentioned it was a time when everyone was watching the same shows. The closest we get now is on your streaming services. It'll show you what's trending.
Yeah.
And maybe that same feeling happened when COVID hit. Everyone's on lockdown. You're stuck in your homes and everyone's watching Tiger King. But other than that, you're right. That unity of the viewing experience has completely
like Netflix,
changed.
for example, will have the top 10. Like here's, like you said, the trending top 10. But that doesn't mean you or I have the same taste.
Right.
So I might watch the number 1 ranked top 10 trending show or movie, and you might be watching the 9th or 10th. But back then, you didn't have a choice. You watched what was on.
You watched what was on.
What was on the Thursday or the Friday lineup.
Thursday lineup was king.
Killer.
Yeah.
But then you had the TGIF lineups.
Mm-hmm.
So those were things that you guys, you made time for, you budgeted time for, and you just knew you had to watch it then, or you had to get a VHS out.
Yeah.
And you had to record that sucker and go back and watch it.
We did that from time to time.
We did.
It was your only option. And I have to say, one of my favorite parts about being in this generation, having one foot in, one foot out of that world, or two different worlds, I love being alive at a time when we can stream our favorite 80s and 90s shows as much as we want.
Mm-hmm.
No commercials, no breaks between seasons, just the binge watching of not what's current, but what we grew up watching. I mean, it's glorious, and I still, to this day, will turn on Friends or turn on Golden Girls and just be so grateful. Like, I'll have that moment where I'm like, oh,
right.
So lucky to be able to do this.
I was going to say, you're right. It's like we're lucky to have the means in which we can watch it anytime we want, right?
Yeah.
But we only care to do that now because of the influence it had back then. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
So I love that about today, and I love the fact that we care about it so much today because of how it made us feel back then.
Yeah.
I mean, when you think about the era of sitcoms, so the 80s and 90s, they weren't just about neon colors and legendary music. It was a revolutionary period for television. I mean, sitcoms of these decades in the 80s and 90s, they broke new ground with unique blend of humor. They had heart, maybe a dash of irreverence. But, it had specifically, I remember, family oriented narratives.
Yes.
So you had the workplace comedies. You had the shows that offered an escape into worlds where the laughs were plentiful, but the characters felt like family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's what it stuck with me the most.
Where you're like, you feel so familiar with their house,
Exactly.
their furniture.
Oh my gosh.
Their kitchen.
You're reading my mind. I'm going to talk about, I don't want to give it away,
Yeah.
but there's something later I'm going to talk about that relates to that.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it just depends. It's like with music. It's depending on what era you're from or what generation you're from, you think of your era as the golden era of whatever it is.
Sure.
I particularly feel like our era is the golden era of television comedy. You can tell me I'm wrong. I don't think I am.
Hey, call me biased, but I have to agree.
Yeah. I mean, you talk to a baby boomer and they're probably going to say the 50s and the 60s were the best era of television comedy, but I disagree. But I wonder why you and I would refer to it as the era of the golden era of television comedy. Any thoughts?
Yeah.
I have one.
Well, I was going to say, as much as I can appreciate shows like Andy Griffith and Leave It to Beaver.
I did too.
I used to love watching Nick at Night.
Mm-hmm.
But
that was a good lineup.
Right. But our shows, none of those made me double over in laughter, like in pain.
Right.
So I feel like the humor became more edgy.
It was almost too wholesome.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes. It was funny and amusing.
A little corny.
But this was just funnier, more raw, and there's a lot of envelope pushing in our era of sitcoms.
Mm-hmm.
I think in one generation, you take racial tensions and the homosexuality being more mainstream and less taboo. I think our generation just like the flip of a switch, largely due to the influence of sitcoms and what we learned, through watching these people these characters we cared about and opened our eyes, opened our minds. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 100% in agreement with all of that. It's simple to me. It was a time for, like you said, it's almost like fearless innovation. It was like writers and producers were not afraid to experiment with different formats and themes and like you said, push the envelope, but like push the boundaries of traditional sitcoms that maybe our parents watched when we were growing up. Yeah. But like you said, I love those too, but I don't know, just feels a little too hokey and
less relatable.
yeah, and they were way too scared to really push anything.
Yeah.
But anyway, I feel like the 80s and 90s era gave rise to shows that were not just entertaining, but they also touched on, like you said, social issues, subtly sort of interwoven with humor. But I feel like that kind of made it stand out in the annals of, TV history. So I think we're both in agreement with that. But, the ripple effects of 80s sitcoms specifically, too, on pop culture are pretty profound. So, shows from this era didn't just entertain. They influenced fashion, catchphrases. I mean, I said the catchphrase in the intro. It was like, what you talking about, Willis? Like I said that, exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. Hairstyles.
Yeah, so catchphrases or just really even attitudes towards any of life's myriad of challenges. I thought it did that, captured that pretty well. The influence really extended beyond the television screen, honestly. It inspired a range of merchandise, from lunch boxes and action figures, and even like Halloween costumes. I mean, if we're being honest, that remain popular to this day. So a lot of influence there, whether it was the preppy looks from shows like The Facts of Life or the quirky, colorful styles of like Mork and Mindy, where you had the rainbow and the suspenders. But 80s fashions trend, and I'm talking about the 80s specifically, but it really is true for the 90s as well. But, those trends continue to kind of cycle back into popularity, really proving that, truly good style, like good humor never really goes out of fashion. So, yeah.
And I feel like after the 90s, the sitcom kind of died out.
100%.
I can't think Last Man Standing, but I can't think of any others. Big Bang Theory. But there used to be, like you said, Thursday and Friday lineups.
Oh, yeah.
And now
it's just an absolute buffet of goodness.
I can't even name on one hand any that are popular now.
It was just a smorgasbord of sitcom goodness.
It was.
It was great. So anyway, I have a very important question.
Okay.
In your opinion, what 80s sitcoms are worth a rewatch?
You told me to choose two.
I did.
I stayed true to that. It was very difficult because there are several that I myself have rewatched. But no, we're talking about it had to have started in the 80s. Had to have
started in the 80s. Now, it could have ended in the 90s.
Sure.
Had to start in the 80s.
Well, my number one forever and ever.
I believe we're going to have one of the same, at least.
My number one forever, The Golden Girls.
Okay. Not the one I was thinking of.
Okay.
But I believe the other one's probably the right one.
The Golden Girls, long before streaming, just when they were in, what do you call it? What's that word?
Syndication.
Sure. Okay, so when you have cable. So this is a show that I loved when it was on. I loved it. I rediscovered it in college. So I had my class schedule. I'd get back to my dorm, and it was Golden Girls, like 4 episodes in a row. It gave me such comfort. And then into adulthood, I bought the DVDs. I eventually got rid of those because it's streaming now, but I had the DVD collection of all the seasons. Just the background, just having it on in the background and hearing Blanche and her high heels clicking against the floor as she walks across the living room. I mean, just that alone gives me comfort. It's like soul food, for your mood. Mm-hmm. That show is forever my top 80s.
Now, has it always been that way, or was that like I just came into this realization as an adult?
I think, I've always loved it, but I think as an adult, I became...
Appreciate it more.
Appreciate it more. Got more of the humor, the subtleties of each character, things, a simple look is hysterical. I love the storylines. I love where the story ends. And I would say that the love grew into my adulthood. But my second favorite show is one that I loved as a kid, and always just loved and wanted to be able to see, but it wasn't on, in syndication for just in like your typical cable stations that I ever saw, but it was the Cosby Show.
Okay. So those are your two that are worth the rewatch.
It was not easy. Look, I have an honorable mention.
Okay.
This is my honorable mention because I don't know. I don't like the way that it ended. And I'm not even sure the star of the show really wanted it to end that way. I don't know. It's Roseanne. It started in the 80s. It went into the 90s. I have always loved that show from premiere to this day. I love that woman. I think she's amazing. I think she's a trailblazer. But the only reason I put it in the honorable mention category is is the ending. I didn't care for it. So the Golden Girls, the Cosby Show, nice wrapping up of these beautiful sitcoms that I love.
Okay. And have you went back and watched any of those?
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Right now I'm watching Cosby.
Okay.
It's not free streaming anywhere. So I'm buying it on Prime season by season.
Okay.
It comes on in the morning, and I was watching that for a long time, for many months as I was working, and it started to give me the Golden Girls feels, like the soul food, like just hearing their voices again. And now getting to watch it in order, and binging it, it's so comforting to me. Cliff and Claire, their voices are so soothing to me. The situations are so funny. These are things that were imprinted on my memory that I just feel so lucky to get to watch again.
Yeah, I agree with you. That was one of my two.
I mean, I think the Cosby Show is a masterpiece.
Yeah, and it was kind of refreshing back then because it was really the first like black family that they portrayed with the doctor for the father and I think,
well-to-do.
wasn't she a lawyer?
Yeah, like upper middle
yeah,
class.
Exactly, in a nice area,
beautiful brownstone.
Yeah, in New York City or whatever.
In Brooklyn.
Yeah, the characters were good,
but I love that there was nothing preachy about it at all.
No, there wasn't.
And that's what I loved about a lot of our shows is that they just kind of presented it. I mean, you'd have those. You had those moments where things got preachy, but on the Cosby Show in particular, nothing was forced down your throat. There was no lecturing. There were no hidden agenda against one race or the other.
I never felt like that watching it.
What I loved is that they portrayed it as the most normal thing in the world to have these upper middle class, well-to-do, well-educated, involved parents with, really, really strict codes of honor in the family. They had a strong value system. They raised their children the right way. I mean, but it was presented to the world as the most normal thing. You didn't think anything about it. You wanted them to be your parents, for goodness sake.
Yeah. Yeah, and you notice like all the little kids, like the kids' characters' friends were always wanting to be over there.
I loved it.
Yeah, they always wanted to be there.
Kenny.
But I think you hit it. The value system thing was kind of where my head was going. I felt like when I watched that, especially now, it does a good job of like teaching you how to be a good parent.
No kidding.
And like live by the golden rule and kind of let your kids figure a little stuff out here and there, but then you're there to kind of like catch them when you know they're going to fall.
Yeah.
You know
and they had a way of staying so calm.
Exactly. I was going to say gentle parenting, but I don't.
It wasn't gentle. You're right, but you're right. There was a very calm, stern assertiveness to their parenting style. There were hilarious moments where they lost their cool, like every parent does, but then they'd always come back. The kids always knew their place, but they also knew how loved they were.
Yeah, and they always had that little piece during the show where like Claire and
Cliff,
sorry, I was wanting to say Bill. Claire and Cliff would always kind of have their private time in the bedroom.
Yeah,
but it was funny. Like,
Yeah.
and it showed kind of like their lighter, kiddish side to their characters.
Yeah, and let's contrast that to later shows where it became a meme of our generation, a lousy, lazy, if you ask me, shtick, where it's the stupid husband and the bitchy wife. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
how old is that in sitcom world? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what it amounted to as far as the husband-wife dynamic. So you're right. I loved, and I've said this before on the show, we've talked about the Cosby Show. Their relationship goals.
Oh, yeah.
Cliff and Claire,
1,000%.
they were very intentional about their privacy and their time alone together and keeping the romance alive.
Mm-hmm.
And it was nice. It's nice to see a couple in a sitcom who are not at each other's throats every 2 minutes.
Yeah. No,
or calling each other moron.
Right. No, it was very easy. They did a good job of showing the world their characters, that they were no doubt in love with each other. I mean, It was absolutely, and without question.
Without question. And hot for each other.
And hot for each other, exactly. So I had the Cosby Show as well.
Oh, good.
And then I had Growing Pains.
Yeah.
I was always a big Growing Pains fan.
I was too.
Yeah, so you had Dr. Seaver, so another doctor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they lived in Long Island, as I remember. I don't want to go too much into detail because there's a good reason for it. I'm going to talk about it a little bit later.
Okay.
But I enjoyed the characters. I thought they were funny. And it kind of was a similar deal. It was good family, value system, sticking up for each other, having each other's back. There were a lot of good guest characters in that show that ended up becoming more famous. I think Leo DiCaprio was on there, your boy.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
I think.
It's when my obsession began.
I could be wrong. We don't have to redact this necessarily because I could be wrong, and I'm going to preface it by saying I could be wrong, but I think Brad Pitt had a guest role in that show.
I think you may be right.
He might have been a guest character in that show.
I think so.
Anyway, but yeah, I just thought the family system kind of was similar to the Cosby Show. So yeah, I really enjoy those two shows quite a bit. And it's kind of like when I think about 80s sitcoms, at least, my mind always goes to those two immediately for some reason.
My mind goes to Growing Pains. It goes to Family Ties.
Exactly.
Alex Keaton.
Exactly.
Did you have any honorable mentions?
I certainly thought about several. There was one.
I mean, we're talking about not necessarily just our favorites, but like what's worth a rewatch out there.
Right.
I mean, Alf.
Well, I was going to say Alf, but
I've rewatched Alf.
Yeah, it seems so obvious because I was such a huge Alf fan. We talked about that in another episode where I used my Alf doll as a wrestling buddy, but I was so into that show.
You were.
And the theme song.
It was such a great show. It was so funny.
I mean, the theme song was funny, like where he's taking the camcorder video,
Yes.
Alf is, and he's like going into everybody's room and closets.
And then he's chasing the cat.
Yeah, and then at the end he gets into the picture and like they show his full body.
That was a great show. It was so funny.
Yeah, but the theme song didn't have any words. It was just a music, So I thought that show was really funny. And even as a kid, I just thought Alf's voice was funny. And, anyway.
Who's the Boss?
Who's the Boss?
I've rewatched that. I've rewatched.
Alyssa Milano.
Well, Seinfeld was in the 90s, but.
Yeah, it was probably right on probably, what was it? Did it come out in 90-ish, 89, 90?
Probably.
It was right there. If it was the 80s, it was like right at the end of it. But yeah, no, those are the ones I think about.
Married with Children.
Yeah, Married with Children. That was a staple. But those two in particular, I would think would be worth a rewatch from an 80s perspective. Okay, let's shift to 90s. Let's pivot.
Okay,
90s. I'll start. How about that?
Okay.
This is one I bet you would never guess I would say. And I'm only saying this because I just finished it recently.
Ooh.
You want to guess?
A Different World?
I did watch that one recently, but that's not the one I was going to pick.
Okay.
Step by Step.
Step by Step.
I tell you what.
Patrick Duffy. Suzanne Summers.
I really enjoyed going back and watching it. And after the first couple episodes, I was like, oh my God, like I forgot about these characters. It was so funny.
Isn't that sort of a cheaper by the dozen kind of situation?
It's like a Brady Bunch kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like they meet and then they get married pretty quickly. I think the pilot episode, they had just gotten back from Jamaica at some point. They got married kind of on a whim. their families were forced to merge and live in this house together. And of course, the stepkids, like he has 3 kids, she has 3 kids. So
And they're all around the same age.
Yeah,
as each
she
other.
had the nerdy blonde head kid with the red glasses, and she had the 2 daughters. One was like aspiring model, actor, singer, and Stacey Keenan, who was in My Two Dads. She was really good.
I like her.
She was like the bookworm, straight or not afraid to like give it to you, like she was pretty good with the comebacks and stuff. But then he had the little short, dark-haired kid. He had the middle schoolish boy that was kind of popular-ish, and then he had the tomboy girl.
Right.
Al. Her name was Alicia.
Right.
So yeah, I just watched that recently. Just finished it.
How many seasons are there?
There were 7.
Oh wow, I didn't know there were that many.
Now I will say, I'll caution everybody. It does get a lot different in season 6 because Cody, their cousin, the tall, good-looking kid who lived in a van outside of their house, and he had the surfer. Like, dude,
this is all coming back to me.
Like, dude, bro.
Yeah,
like, Cody. So Cody Lambert's character got written out of the show in season 6 because his real life situation, he got charged with domestic abuse.
Yeah,
and so he got written out of the show. Like he had a job in Russia.
Right.
And so they had to bring a couple characters to kind of like replace him, and it just didn't work. So I think Stacey Keenan got like lip fillers in her top lip, and she looked really weird. So season 6 almost kind of difficult, but the first few seasons, excellent.
Yeah.
Go back and watch it. It makes you kind of just laugh and chuckle. But what I think is always interesting, and you and I talk about this, is like you go back and look at the main characters' ages, and it makes me cringe.
Don't even.
When that show started, Patrick Duffy was like 40 or 41.
No.
Or 42. And Suzanne Summers was like 39 or 40.
Lord have mercy.
Crazy. So, yeah.
That's hard for me to accept.
And Patrick Duffy, of course, had done Dallas. So he came kind of straight from Dallas to do that show.
I'm sorry to derail for a second, but this all reminds me of another show. The Hogan Family.
Oh, Jason Bateman was in the Hogan Family.
He made that show.
He's awesome.
He has always been awesome.
Was that the Sally Duncan?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember who else was in that.
Well, she replaced.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I
wonder if that's on
and
streaming.
Mrs. Poole, their neighbor, the nosy neighbor.
Yeah. There's always like a nosy neighbor.
Yeah.
It's like with Alf, you had the nosy neighbor
the nosy
too.
neighbor. Yeah, that was a good one.
Achmonic and Alf.
That's an Alf, yeah.
Anyway, so Step by Step was a good one.
Okay.
And the theme song, like it kind of like woke me up because I'm like, I had not heard that theme song in forever.
I don't even remember it. I can't.
It's like, no, I'm sorry. I'm doing Family Matters. I was thinking of It's a Rare Condition. That's Family
Right.
Matters. The Step by Step ones were on the roller coaster. Days go by.
Oh, wow.
It's the bigger love with the
family.
Isn't that Step by Step?
Oh, no. Are we still doing Family
Are we still
Man?
doing? Wait a minute.
Or is this Full House? I'm all confused.
What am I doing? I just watched it. No, I'm sorry. I probably got it wrong. But anyway, it's based out of Port Washington, Wisconsin. They're at this theme park, whatever.
Oh, that's funny.
So yeah, that's a good one. And then Beverly Hills 90210.
That is not a sitcom.
You don't consider that a sitcom?
No. Veto.
What would you consider that? A drama?
A drama. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Then I will steal what you said earlier. A Different World. That'll be my 90s sitcom honorable mention.
Okay.
Love that show. You're the reason I watched that again.
So your 2 favorites.
I didn't say they were my favorite. I said they were worth a rewatch.
Worth a rewatch. Okay. I can't believe you didn't say Friends.
It's too obvious.
Too obvious.
Everybody knows it's like my favorite show of all time.
Well, I listed that. I mean,
I'm trying to give the viewership and the listeners something different to think about.
Different, right? Go back in that memory bank.
Everybody liked Friends.
Well, I was thinking about my favorites, so I picked 2.
Okay.
Friends, obviously, being the first 90s sitcom favorite. Do we need to explain? I mean, that show is on loop in my life.
We've done a whole episode on that show.
We did a whole episode on it, and we both watch it a couple times a year.
Do you think that's the most rewatched show that you've ever rewatched?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Because I know you have several that you're a rewatcher.
I am a rewatcher. I have some sort of anxiety about leaving that world once I'm in it. And again, like I said before, these shows, they're especially when you work from home, when you're used to hearing those things in the background, it's a bit of a comfort. Like
Yeah.
some people, when they work from home, they like to listen to music or watch TV or just have the TV on or listen to podcasts, whatever. I prefer to just listen to my shows, and it's the scenes are going on in my head.
Right.
So
And you know what's coming next and all that.
I'd have to say, as far as like straight rewatch loops, it's Friends for sure. It's The Office. It's Big Bang Theory.
I was going to say, we probably have the same then.
Yeah.
Mine's for sure Friends. It's the most watched show I've ever seen. Or that's one that I've watched the most.
Yeah.
And then The Office probably the second. Because I've watched The Office front to back probably 12, 13, 14 times.
I've lost count.
Yeah.
And The Golden Girls is probably another
Well,
one.
you actually, so I'm glad we did this episode because you have inspired me to rewatch The Golden Girls, which I'll do.
Have you started that?
No, I mean, you're inspiring me to do it.
It's so good, man. It's so good.
But I really do feel bad about the 90210. I would have considered that a sitcom. I guess you're right, though. It's not. It's really not.
If it wasn't taped in front of a live studio audience, it doesn't count.
Oh, well, duh. Situation comedy. It's not comedy. But in my mind, I was thinking like popular 90s shows.
Sure, yeah.
Sorry. Okay.
Well, my second one, which is kind of a contradiction because I just complained about the meme of the husband and wife at each other's throats, but Everybody Loves Raymond. If you haven't, you gotta go watch it.
Everybody Loves Raymond.
Everybody Loves Raymond. I think it's on Prime. I've rewatched that many times. I love Ray Romano. I love his humor. I love the characters. I love Deborah. I even love the nosy in-laws across the street or next door or whatever. It's just, and Robert, of course, the brother. Everybody Loves Raymond.
Yeah.
He's hilarious.
He's like, a police officer in that show because I haven't watched it. I watched it a little bit, but not religiously.
Okay, you gotta. Everybody out there, you gotta rewatch Everybody Loves Raymond. Now, because of what I've been through in my life, you go through seasons of life, and so shows hit differently when you watch them at different times. I did reach a point where I couldn't watch Raymond because I just couldn't handle the friction. It was just too much, like too much meddling, too much bickering between
Too
Ray.
much disrespect.
Too much disrespect between spouses. Too much begging. I mean, come on. The husband begging the wife for sex, acting like he never gets it. I mean, that's just a sort of a trite storyline among sitcoms. And there was a time in my life, there was a season where I kind of turned away from Raymond for a while. Not that I didn't like it still, but just couldn't expose myself to all that negativity. But I came out of that and rewatched again and again because it's just so funny. It's light. It's hysterical. I mean.
Okay. Yeah, I might put that on my to-do list.
Everybody Loves Raymond. Got to do it.
You can't talk to your mother that way. Why not? You talk to her that way because you're not my mother. I do remember that line.
I love his voice, yeah.
Okay. Well, what about your favorite sitcom characters of either decade?
Yeah, okay.
What you got?
Of either decade, this was a toss-up. It was tough. My favorite of all is Dorothy Zbornak. No one slays like that queen.
So that is
B. Arthur.
Yeah, B. Arthur from Golden Girls.
From the Golden Girls. In fact, when they were casting and the pilot episode was being distributed to agents or whatever, the description of Dorothy Zbornak in the script said a B. Arthur type.
Really?
Yes.
And she was like, well, why don't I just slay this audition?
Yeah. I don't know why they wouldn't have just reached out to her to begin with. But anyway, it landed, at her door. And so it made perfect sense. She's a trailblazer herself with Maude, her show before that. Mm-hmm. She's just, there is no one like her. I don't think there ever has been anyone like her. She's very statuesque. She's a very tall woman. has this really deep
Intimidating kind of voice.
absolutely. And she can give a look that will have you just doubled over in pain, laughing with just a look. Her reactions to certain lines and looking at the audience and she's just the queen. And her character I love because she, after 38 years of marriage, her husband Stanley, who is fun and great, and he's in it. He's a mainstay, in the cast, and he's funny too. But after 38 years, they get divorced because he's had affair after affair after affair, and she's starting over. And then Sophia Petrillo, her mother, Estelle Getty, who she has in a home recovering from a stroke, but ends up the home burns down, and so Sophia has to live with her. So that's their situation when they meet Blanche and move in because they needed a room for rent. So she is just a strong character. Of course, very assertive, stands up for herself, but is also vulnerable. She's so funny and so talented. B. Arthur's voice. She sings in a couple of episodes, in a couple of moments, and for me, it's not long enough.
Really?
She has an amazing singing voice. I could listen to her all day. And her comebacks, her smackdowns. If you YouTube the best of Dorothy Zbornak, you could just see, hundreds of moments where she just.
So remind me, because I'm not, it's kind of similar to Raymond. I'm not been a religious watcher of that show. Certainly watched bits and pieces, but was it ever serious or was it always funny?
Oh well, I mean, yeah, it was always funny. I mean,
like, did you ever rewatch it and get emotional? Because
sure, there are definitely some really tender moments, but there is always just a second behind that moment.
It brings it back.
There's Dorothy saying something funny, or Sophia saying something sarcastic.
Oh, hell, Betty White was in it.
Or Betty White saying something stupid. So there was always that tension breaker, always.
Yeah. Our Grandma Doris always reminded me of Betty White.
I know, and
Betty
she
White,
loved that show.
Or I should say it the opposite. Betty White always reminded me of our Grandma Doris.
Yeah, she liked that show too. And I love those women. And I love the idea of, women in their 50s, 60s, single, dating. Two of them lost their husbands. One of them divorced. And then an old Sicilian, who's like the Yoda of the group. Because when you think of 80s and 90s sitcoms, nobody touched that age group.
No.
Like, you had to be young, fit.
Unique. It was very unique. Yeah, I know it was very unique.
You had to be middle-aged or young and fit and still sexy and no wrinkles and this and that. And then you had these women who are gray-haired and just fantastic. It doesn't get better than that. And I think the subtlety of that, I mean, there was some, social issues covered for sure. Not really preachy, but I think that it, in a subtle way, it pushed a lot of boundaries.
Okay. Very good. You got any more you want to?
Oh, let's see. Well, my honorable mention would have been Sophia Petrillo or Roseanne.
Okay. I had Woody from Cheers.
Oh, what a great character!
Yeah, his character was Woody Boy.
Kelly.
Oh, I love
the song he wrote.
Yes, I love Woody Harrelson. He was like that naive Midwestern guy, young guy that comes in and lets the patrons kind of like teach him how life really works. And it's so funny.
It reminds me of what I have always heard actors say: you have to be really, really smart to play someone really, really dumb.
Mm-hmm.
And Phoebe is that way.
I like that.
Andy on Parks and Rec. God, what's his name? He's a superstar now. Chris.
Oh gosh, Pratt.
Yes, Chris Pratt. The cast agreed that he's the funniest, the smartest. Kind of like Woody Harrelson, smart guy.
Oh yeah,
smart guy. And what a funny character.
Oh yeah,
Lovable,
yes.
very lovable.
So he was one of my favorites, and then Alex P. Keaton, who you mentioned, Michael J. Fox. He was the
Alex.
overachieving conservative Republican in the family, and
shirt and tie to school.
He was one of my favorites. Al Bundy. Talking about Al Bundy, always had his hands in his pants, and acted like he couldn't stand his life or his wife, but at the end of the day, he did. He just had a different way of showing it, I guess.
Right.
But I thought he was really amazing in that show.
He was a great character.
And the way he treated his neighbor that he couldn't stand. It's like every show had a nosy neighbor.
Yes.
You know? So yeah. And then a Chandler Bing, of course, I have to. I mean, how can I not?
I know.
If I'm not going to mention Friends as a worth a rewatch because that was just on automatic, I have to mention Chandler Bing.
Chandler Bing,
best freaking character of all time.
One of the best characters of all time. And while we're at it, Phoebe, one of the great TV characters.
You're Team Phoebe for sure.
I'm Team Phoebe.
We learned that in our episode too. You were Team
Yes.
Phoebe. So those are the ones I had for my favorites. You had any more of your favorites, or you've covered them?
I could go on and on.
Okay. Well, what about your least favorite? Let's get real for a sec.
This one wasn't hard for me.
This wasn't hard for me either,
dude. Becky Connor.
Hey, my number 5, Becky Connor.
Really?
Swear.
Oh my god.
No. We gotta give the. There we go. Okay, so what was it about her to you?
I gotta say, and I hope she never hears this.
Yeah.
Because we are in like Ireland and Romania.
Yeah, she might live in Nigeria.
She might be
never know.
roaming the
never
world.
know.
I think part of it is just, I just never warmed to the actress herself. So the way she carried herself, her mannerisms, even her voice made my blood run cold when I heard it. I just,
Yeah.
something about her annoyed me. But then her character, what a bitch. What a spoiled, entitled, disrespectful little cunt.
Right.
Beep.
Yeah,
the beep came too late there. My favorite word.
Yeah, I'm letting that one marinate.
But I'm remembering episodes where she, mouthed off to her mom, just like popped off, loud and obnoxious. And then the worst was when their business failed. They went out on a limb. They're lower class family, hardworking, multiple jobs most of the time, and they went out on a limb and they started this bike shop, this business, and when it was failing, Becky has this tirade against her dad because all she's thinking about is Mark, her boyfriend. He was working at the shop, so now he's out of work. I mean, no thought for your parents and what they're going through and how it's going to affect the family. But now my boyfriend / fiance is out of a job. You're such a loser. Just whatever her little tirade there just makes my skin crawl.
Ugh. Amen, Johnson.
Like, girl, walk away. I was actually glad when they replaced her for a bit.
Yeah, with Sarah Chalk.
I like her.
Yeah, I do too.
But the character of Becky was still gag.
Blech.
Gag.
I'm glad we both had that one.
Yay.
I mean, that's how bad she was.
That's how bad she was. Wow. That's crazy.
And that sounds super shallow, but like the crux of that show is, like you said, hardworking, lower class family. They weren't meant to be like runway models. Let's be honest.
Yeah,
I'm not trying
real.
I'm not trying to be shallow.
They were real.
But that was one of the first shows where it was like, okay, this seems like a real family.
Oh,
like,
for sure.
It seems like a real family. The little son was kind of a goofy looking kid. You had what's
Darlene?
The other? Yeah, Darlene's not the most attractive woman. Roseanne is funny as hell, but she was a bigger one. John Goodman's this huge dude.
Yeah.
But Becky.
You had people who looked like us.
Right, every day. But like Becky, I just was so unattracted to her as a kid.
As a kid.
Yeah, she was so unattractive to me. And on top of that, like you said, her voice and just the way she acted. Every time she came into a scene, I was like, please be done with your scene quick.
She makes my eyes hurt.
She ruined it.
Ruined that show.
Yeah, so great call. And
let me get on a little bit of a soapbox here. I'm a Roseanne Barr for life kind of fan. I don't care what happened. I think she was unfairly canceled. And the worst part of it is that I see those actors so differently. I used to really respect like Goodman and Jackie. I love that woman. And none of them had her back. They all like scurried under the woodwork like cockroaches away from that scandal and didn't have her back when she made them.
Right, 100%. I mean, the show was called Roseanne.
Gosh, I'll never forget that. And it just chaps my ass to think of the cast. Like, I won't even touch the Connors. I started watching it.
I didn't watch it.
I started watching it and really liked it. And I thought, this is a reboot that will work. I mean, Roseanne was good then. She's good now. I mean, this is good stuff. And then they canceled her.
So did it drive you crazy to see Jackie on Big Bang as Sheldon's mom?
No, it didn't, because I love her so.
Yeah.
And her character is a lovable character. The only thing that bothered me is how they turn her a bit into a caricature on purpose to mock Christians.
Oh yeah, in Big Bang you're talking about?
Yeah, that is quite insulting. But
I get it.
Yeah.
Another one that stuck with me that I absolutely hated was Balky from Perfect Strangers.
Oh my gosh.
Now I know he's probably supposed to be funny and all this and that.
Dude, you went into the vault for that one.
Bronson Pinchot, or however you say his last name. He was
Balky.
he was like this shepherd herder from like Greece. It was like if you remember, it was like a mythical town called Mypos or something like that.
Yeah.
So he comes to America for bigger and better things, and he just drove me crazy.
Right.
Now, he's done some funny stuff, I guess, but God, every time I saw that show, I immediately would flip it. Because I listened to him talk or act for about 20 seconds, I was done with it.
Or as our dad would say, and I love doing, I do this in the car. You're jamming to a song for like a minute, and then Dad goes, okay, that's enough of that shit.
Yeah, that's enough of that shit. But yeah, Perfect Stranger. So he goes to stay with his cousin, who's the curly-headed guy. And what I found out was in the pilot, the curly-headed guy's character was supposed to be Louis Anderson. But then they never aired the pilot, so it ended up being this other guy. But yeah, that was just that show, was he wanted to go to America for a better life and go stays with his cousin, and they end up working, I think, together. But his character drove me crazy.
Good one.
Oh gosh.
I shouldn't have stopped at one. I can bitch.
Okay.
This girl can bitch about some stuff, but I stopped at one.
I have to tell you this other one. Joey Gladstone from Full House absolutely drove me nails on a chalkboard. Cut it out. It's like, dude, can we...
He is the reason I am not a Full House fan. He is the reason I did not get on board for the reboot. You realize he shocked the world when we found out Alanis Morissette was singing about him.
I know.
This is the dude.
What?
This is the dude. Cut it out.
Go. You just did it with your hands, and I literally want to come slap you right in the face. I want to knock your glasses off your pretty little ass head.
Thank you. Come at me, bro.
Yeah, I cannot deal with Joey Gladstone.
You remember, like, the world was like, really? It's that guy?
Yes.
You're thinking about, well, first of all, she's this like dark princess, moody, with a bone to pick, chip on her shoulder, ready to like cut a bitch. And this is the guy who did that to her? Like,
I mean, that dude must be packing.
I know.
But I'm like, every time I would watch that show, I'd be like, kick him out of your damn house now. Kick him out of your house. Write him off of the show, please.
Hey, Kimmy Gibbler, while we're at it.
You didn't like Kimmy Gibbler?
She annoyed me because, her lines, I thought she was cute.
Yeah.
But her lines were always so dumb.
Yeah. But see, I could stand her. I couldn't stand him. The cut it out thing, funny. I just could not. Ugh.
Not funny.
Lord.
Which is terrible because Bob Saget was hilarious.
Danny Turner?
No, I just mean as a comedian.
I know.
He was hilarious. And he was hardcore. Like, for him to be on a show like Full House, I mean, he's a hardcore comedian.
Yeah.
Like, no holds barred. Nothing's off limits.
But not to get off topic, but how cool was America's Funniest Home Videos?
Come on.
That's a classic.
That kind of set the tone for the whole viral concept.
Oh, yeah. I remember us watching that. Anyway, Joey Gladstone, had to throw that one in there. Drove me bananas.
Good one. Good call.
BANANAS.
This day is bananas. BANANAS.
I have like one or two more, but I want you to I don't want to steal your shine.
Hey, Becky Connor was enough for me.
This is probably not going to be a popular one.
Ooh,
And I don't
controversy.
really, and I can't really put my finger on why I didn't like his character so much. But Carl Winslow,
I didn't either.
and I don't know why. I mean, he was a police officer for the Chicago Police Department.
Oh, wait a minute. I'm thinking of. Never mind. I'm thinking of Carlton.
No. Carlton Banks. Carl Winslow is the dad on Family Matters.
Oh, okay.
Supposed to be a good, God-fearing family man. Teaches his kids right from wrong. He's on the police force. I should like him, but I don't know what it was about him I didn't like.
Could it be that he was quite forgettable?
He's quite forgettable. He was real sloppy looking physically, so that always drove me crazy.
Like if you're a cop,
Yeah, I feel that was it. It was like he fit that donut at the gas station narrative. Like, hey, crullers and coffee. Like, dude, go out there, like, serve and protect.
Right.
Okay, Carl. But, yeah, I don't know if I guess it just wasn't believable to me or something. And I think he had good intentions as a character. I think they wrote him probably as good as they could have, but I just didn't. Every time I watched him, I just was like, eh.
I have one that's probably a little controversial.
But Steve Urkel clearly stole that show. Right.
He was the show.
That show, yeah, I was going to say, that show doesn't survive without Steve Urkel.
Right. You made me think of one. Facts of Life, Tootie.
You didn't like Tootie?
I liked her, but found myself quite annoyed with her most of the time. She won me back over, Kim Fields, with Living Single. Because I didn't mention that, but that would be an honorable
her
mention.
glow up was pretty nice.
That rewatch is worth it. Living Single is a good one.
I would have never.
But I was not a fan of Tootie so much.
Interesting.
She just kind of annoyed me.
Okay, but you feel me on the Carl Winslow though a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well, that's all I had for my least favorite.
All right. Well, I think it's time for a break.
Okay.
First, I want to remind you guys, you can text us. You click on the link just above the show notes on our website, and we won't know who you are unless you tell us. And we'd love to hear comments, questions, feedback. Email us, thebestofgenx@gmail.com. And when we come back, what do you have planned?
Mary Beth, we actually have some fun things planned. I don't want to give it away, but I think this will be the fun part.
The shenanigans?
The shenanigans. We're getting us into the weekend mode.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Okay, Mary Beth.
Yes, Joe.
We are back, and I told you it was going to be fun. I promised you fun. Because this is Friday leading into the weekend, yes?
Yes, finally, for this terrible week.
I know.
Dear God, give us some rest, some reprieve.
But I created this thinking of you.
Yay.
This is all about you. All things coming up, Mary Beth.
Yay.
Okay, now listen. You can only keep 5.
Okay.
Okay? Of all of the sitcoms you can think of. I'm going to list about 10, but you can only keep 5.
Of your 10.
You can only keep 5.
All right, hit
10,
me.
Okay? Now, these are famous ones. These are popular ones. We've talked about a few. The Cosby Show. Cheers. Family Ties. Okay, not Family Matters.
Right.
Saved by the Bell. Friends. A Different World. Growing Pains. Full House. The Wonder Years. And The Facts of Life.
Oh.
You can only keep 5, and the other 5 disappear forever, and nobody has ever
heard of
knew
them.
they existed.
You know, this is easier than I thought it would be.
What?
Cutthroat is what I'm about to do.
Okay.
All right.
Damn.
I'm keeping The Cosby Show. I'm keeping Family Ties. I'm keeping Saved by the Bell. I'm keeping Friends. I'm keeping Growing Pains. Bye-bye, Cheers, A Different World, Full House, The Wonder Years, The Facts of Life. You never happened.
Now, why is it so easy? Now, a couple I get. I mean, obviously, we grew up on a Saved by the Bell. We were freaks.
Yeah.
The Cosby Show. Clearly, you love The Cosby Show.
Yeah. Family Ties was so influential. I mean, I named my daughter Mallory for Pete's sake. Yo. And sometimes I say,
Mallory.
And, yeah, Saved by the Bell, Friends, Growing Pains, because again, that was another staple in our lineup. I've never quite been into Full House because of what we've previously discussed. I rewatched The Wonder Years about 2 years ago and realized that Kevin Arnold is a dick. The Facts of Life, I liked it at the time, but
Eh.
And Cheers, I liked moments of Cheers. I loved Kirstie Alley.
Same.
Love.
Samesies.
Rest in peace, Kirstie Alley. I
Yeah.
love her. But the show as a whole, the best thing that came out of it, in my opinion, Frasier. Another great rewatch.
Yeah,
90s sitcom.
good call.
I love Frasier. I love Kelsey
And
Grammer.
his brother Niles.
What a great show.
Yeah, that is a good show. Yeah, that's a good call.
Yeah, Frasier, Kelsey Grammer is chef's kiss on that show. And another fun thing about Frasier Rewatch is that the callers who would call his radio show for, help were always celebrities. And
Really?
Yeah, some are recognizable, some are a little more difficult, but you can get on YouTube and look it up, and you can watch a whole compilation of,
that's cool.
like Kevin Bacon and just all
cool.
these actors calling in. It's like, oh my God, I watched that show and never realized.
I really liked Frasier, obviously, but I really liked Norm, the character Norm, just because I like George Wendt. He's in a lot of good stuff. He's in the Little Rascals movie, just briefly. He's in a lot of SNL skits with the Bears. Like I became a George Wendt fan.
Yeah.
And he was on SNL quite a bit. He hosted quite a bit. So yeah, I don't think I would dispute any of that, to be honest with you. Like, I think if I were to make that choice, because I didn't do it myself, but now that I'm looking at it, yeah, I think I might throw Cheers in there. I'm trying to think who I would replace it with. It's tough. It's really tough. No, I would probably do the same. I'll probably do the same 5.
Cosby, Family Ties, Saved by the Bell, Friends, Growing Pains. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom.
Yes. I think the only one I would probably struggle with is Family Ties versus Cheers, but I love them both. You know what I mean? Like, Mom and Dad recently gifted me, when I was moving here, a glass with a handle on it, and I think it's shaped like a barrel, if I remember correctly. But
Like a mug?
Yeah, like a mug, but it's like a different shaped mug. I'd have to show you. It's more round and short, but it has the Cheers logo on it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. So Mom's like, just take it to your new house.
Yeah. I do like the concept, and I also like...
Makes you feel good.
Yeah, I also like Ted Danson.
Yeah, Sam Malone. I love the theme song.
They had a great closing.
Yeah, they did.
Sorry, we're closed.
Yeah.
That was it. Yeah.
But I really like that show. I like the theme song.
I think their finale was one of the most watched finales of all time.
I think you're right.
That and MASH.
But it always made me it sounds horrible. It always made me anxious to be of age where I can just go chill and relax and just
have a beer.
Shoot the shit with people at the bar. That was pretty cool.
But then you get old enough to realize it's not so good when you walk into a bar and everyone knows your name.
Right.
Maybe you go there too much.
Okay.
Maybe you need to lay off the sauce.
Okay, Mary Beth. Fantasy sequence. Okay. You have a chance. You, yourself, have a chance to go back and be in any famous 80s or 90s sitcom. Okay. Jeez. Which would you choose and why?
Jeez.
You have a chance to be an actress or a character in a famous 80s or 90s sitcom.
Okay. Can I fantasize? Can I go off on a little fantasy?
I hope that you do.
Okay. I want to obviously be in the cast of Friends, because they're all funny and beautiful, and the wardrobe alone is reason to want to be part of it. All the beautiful clothes that the girls wore, and just the coffee house, the ambiance of it, the atmosphere of the show, the tone, the mood. I'd want to be part of Friends.
But their bond seemed so exclusive.
I would have
to. So special.
Hey, just like Monica wormed her way back in to Phoebe's life when she tried to cut her out.
Right. But being at that apartment, it seemed so exclusive, like only us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like anybody else that came, it was like, who are you? What are you doing here?
But I mean, because it was hip, it was hot, it was happening, I would want to be in the cast of Friends. I would want to be in the Golden Girls somehow. I'd want to be one of their daughters.
Ooh, I could see that.
I'd want to be like a recurring
I could
guest,
see that.
because while it's Miami and it's a crazy swamp town, and I hate humidity and heat, and they're always wearing like layers and sweaters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big fan of. I don't want to live that life, but just to be in Blanche's house, to sit at that kitchen table, to eat some cheesecake with them, to crack jokes with these masters of comedy who are so good at what they do, so brilliant. And then I guess finally, the kid in me wants to be part of the Cosby Show. I want to run up those stairs. I want to be part of that anniversary tribute. Baby!
Yeah, the Ray Charles
the
thing.
child in me wants to be a cast member of that show.
Yeah, I always like the memorable sets, like some of the living rooms in some of those shows. You just made you want to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it would be Growing Pains. I loved the character of Mike Seaver, and I think I would have enjoyed playing alongside him, Kirk Cameron. And I loved the Seaver house. I thought the Seaver house was really kind of cool.
It was.
It had that kind of outdoor, that porch that kind of went around. It had the white picket fence. The kitchen was kind of like different. I thought it was just a really neat house. Had some wood paneling in the living room that I just thought kind of seemed sort of like Massapequa, Long Island.
Yeah.
Kind of had that vibe. But so I thought the set was really cool. Yeah, and then plus I thought the show was pretty heavy in terms of the issues that it covered. So it was comedic, obviously, but you had plenty of chances. Like if you wanted to nerd out on the actor side, you had plenty of chances to have episodes about eating disorders or suicide or alcohol abuse or usage as a kid and stuff like that. So I thought I just thought it was a good blend from an acting perspective of like being funny, but then also getting serious. And I just like the surrounding.
Good call. Yeah. It would force you to really sharpen your skills and widen your range as an actor.
It would. It would whet my acting palate.
But you mentioned sets. I'd want to be in Monica's apartment because it's so eccentric. Nothing really matches, but that's why it all matches. Mm-hmm. That's why it all fits. I love that every piece of furniture is its own like statement. Even her kitchen chairs don't match. I love that. I love that cozy lived in feel. And I want to crawl up in their huge window nook and read a book.
Which is ironic that like hardly anything matches because of her character. Right?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I think that's so funny. No, it's a good call. I would certainly enjoy being in Friends as well.
I love that question. Great question, Joe.
Thanks. Okay. So the fun ending, Mary Beth. This is where I give you the words to certain theme songs from each decade, and you have to get them right or face the consequences. Hashtag, which there are none.
Utter humiliation.
Yeah. I will just be able to make fun of you forever, even though I'm the one that said 90210 was a sitcom, which I hate myself for, by the way.
Don't come on.
No, I'm going to die later.
Now, if I know my brother, ladies and gentlemen, I have a feeling he's going to talk these lyrics out, not sing them, but he's going to talk them conversationally, and he's probably going to pick the most obscure lines from each theme song.
What? Not me.
If I know you.
Maybe you don't know me.
Let's see.
Okay. Number 1. You want to be where you can see? The troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name.
Cheers.
I had to get you started right.
Okay. Yay. All right. Hit me.
When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams. That's all you get.
Different Strokes.
Nope.
Oh. Say it again.
When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams. I'm trying to make it harder on you as I go.
Full House? Shoot. When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams.
Let me know when you're ready. Let me know when you're ready to finish it.
When the world never seems... Is it Friends?
No.
I know. I'm getting desperate.
You just leveled out my 90210.
I did.
Okay. We're even.
We're even.
Yeah.
We suck mutually.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
The facts of life.
Oh.
It's the facts of life. The facts of life. When the world never seems to be living up to your dreams. Facts of life.
You bastard.
Okay, ready? Whatever happened to predictability? The Milkman, The Paperboy, Evening TV.
TV. Family Matters.
Nope.
No. Oh my God. I see it in my head.
It's hard on the spot. It's hard.
It's in my head. Full House.
Full House.
Days go by.
Whatever happened to predictability?
Right.
The milkman and the paper boy. Evening TV. Okay. This one, I don't think you'll get this one.
Oh, dear.
My life, my dream. Nothing gonna stop me now.
Ooh.
Now, to be fair, this is a hard one. We've talked about this show already on this episode.
My life, my dream.
Nothing gonna stop me now.
Nothing gonna stop me now.
Oh, folks, she's trying to get herself in this deep trance.
I know. My eyes are closed. Yeah. I'm picturing.
Guys, I think she fell asleep. She's meditating.
I don't know. Nothing's gonna stop me now. Sounds. I know that I know that.
Okay, so let me try to help you. I want to try to help you because I don't want to give it away. Think about the words.
Yeah.
And what that means.
I know.
And then think about the sort of like the plot of
That's exactly what I'm doing.
My life, my dream, nothing gonna stop me now. It's a tough one. When I put it down, I knew it was gonna be a tough one for you.
It's someone starting over or starting a new adventure or
Yes.
I can't.
Perfect Strangers. So it's when Balky
I don't even remember that
Balky
song.
gets on like the wagon. He's got the America or Bus sign. With
Okay.
his little,
Okay. Yeah. And I didn't even watch that show when I was younger.
Stupid.
That
Okay.
was tough.
Okay. New boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs, and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family. I can read it again.
Yeah.
New boy in the neighborhood lives downstairs, and it's understood. He's there just to take good care of me, like he's one of the family.
Oh my. What show was there someone living in the basement?
I love watching your face, like try to figure
This
piece
is
it all together.
So tough.
Tougher than you thought.
Much tougher.
Can't make it easy. That's no fun.
Text the show right now. Oh, we're not live. Damn it. I don't know. I'm terrible at this.
Charles in charge
Oh
of our
my
day
God.
and our lives. Charles in charge
Of our wrongs and our rights.
Okay. The next one. So
See, I know them when you sing them.
This is gonna be easy. See, I kind of go hard or easy, difficult, back to easy. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes.
Jeez.
Let me say it less choppy. What might be right for you may not be right for some. A man is born, he's a man of means. Then along come two, they got nothing but the genes.
Different strokes.
Yes.
Different strokes through the world.
Do-do-do.
That's a good show.
Okay, here's our chance to make it. And if we focus on our goal, you can dish it. We can take it. Hey, just remember, you've been told.
It's a different world. Ow,
From where you come from. Yeah, here it is now.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's our Aretha Franklin. Meh.
Okay, I bet we've been together for 1,000,000 years. And I bet we'll be together for 1,000,000 more.
And I bet we'll be together.
Hey, what would we do, baby, without us?
What do we do, baby? And you know, it's Johnny Mathis.
Is it?
Yes, sir.
Well, I love it even more.
I know.
Without us.
That's Family
What
Ties,
would we do,
friends.
baby?
Family Ties.
And then how did it end?
Sha-da-la-la.
And then they're painting the family picture.
I love that intro.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, 2 more.
Okay.
It's a rare condition, this day and age, to read any good news on the newspaper page. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls.
Family Matters.
Well, there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. All I see. Not joking. Okay, last one. This might be a little difficult.
Oh, dear.
I didn't make it an obvious one. There's a path you take and a path not taken. The choice is up to you, my friend. The nights are long, but you might awaken to a brand new life. Brand new life to a brand new life around the bend.
Brand new life. Brand new life.
A brand new life
around the bend. That is Who's the Boss.
Good God.
Yay.
Good job. There's a path you take and a path not taken. So,
I like that intro
yeah.
too. I like that couple.
I do too.
I did rewatch that recently, but I only got as far as season 3 because I couldn't find the other seasons.
Good job. You did good. You really only didn't get like 2 or 3 for the most part.
Yeah, I wouldn't have gotten Perfect
I knew the
Stranger.
Perfect Strangers would
That was
get you.
gonna
I knew that would get you.
Stump me.
That was fun.
That was fun.
Glad I could help you. Have some fun in your bad week.
Yes, this has been such a nice reprieve from the demands.
I feel for her and I feel for you. One surgery is taxing enough, and then to have to go back
and she, you know, she's 19 and so obviously physically she has an advantage because you bounce back a lot faster from things like that.
But did she take it like a Chizamp?
She did, of course, and she won't even take her pain medication. She's worried about the dangers of that, and so she's really quite a champ. But she's also 19 and very antsy. And the day of her surgery, we got home, and the first thing she asked if she could go to her friend's house. I'm like, "Are you nuts?"
Yeah. Are you
so
knucking futs?
So she's just been very. It's been very hard to keep her mentally, you know, uplifted because she wants to be out. She cannot rest. I'm like, girl, you know, these kids don't know. Wouldn't you give anything? I mean, not to have surgery, but to have like someone demand that you spend a week in bed.
Right.
I mean, I think I could handle that. She is not handling that well.
Mary Beth, that sounds really traumatizing to you. How'd that make you feel? Sorry, we're ending our session.
This has been a great session. I appreciate it.
You're
It
welcome.
has really helped me.
I enjoyed it. I had fun talking old sitcoms with you.
Me too.
Hey, with you.
They're so special.
Yeah.
They're such a part of my heart. And I know yours too.
Yeah, I feel like a kid when I talk about it.
I do too. The kid in me smiles.
Yep.
Well, thank you so much for listening to another piece of the Gen X experience worth saving. Our most beloved sitcoms of the 80s and 90s have now been immortalized in the annals of history. If you like what you heard, subscribe to the Best of Gen X wherever you get your podcasts so you never miss an episode. Joe, always a pleasure.
Duh.